Welcome back, everybody. Super delighted to have you here. My name is Eduardo, and I'm joined by Shiaw-Ling Lai. Super good to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Yes, a delight. So, by the way, we've just seen quite the scene here. Got an introduction into, well, the first time we saw a boss character. So, could you tell us a little more about what did we just see here?
Yeah, so Illuminator is a boss fight, and it's a manifestation of some of the trauma and horror of the characters in Norway. We also just saw, unfortunately, the card did not pot up. So what we're going to do, the team's already on it. Sorry, I was rushing in here to make sure we got this out to you guys. But if you were watching the show and you did not get your IP comps, we're going to do a grant to make sure everybody got compensated for that. No matter how well you did, we're just going to give you the full IP for doing the run.
Yeah, so that's one of the nice parts. Actually, we're going to do your director of production, and it's actually nice to have you literally live with us, letting us know about an unfortunate issue we had, and that we're going to try to make the experience better for all of you at home. So it's good to have you, because you're doing this stuff behind the scenes. Instead, we have you live on air to do it for this one. Anyways, by the way, during that scene, we actually saw somebody burning alive almost. So that was our cameo character. Now, our production team's going to throw that up on screen about cameo contests, and it's something you can take part in every day. You can be the extra in Silent Hill Ascension, and also be a dead body, burned to a crisp, or be a Foundation member, depending on what you win. Remember that cameos kind of close every day at 6:30 p.m. Pacific or 9:30 p.m. Eastern, but you got a larger window to take part. And that's one important aspect of Silent Hill Ascension. It's this cameo system, because it means that you, the audience member that gets lucky and chosen, gets to be a part of the Silent Hill canon forever. Now, the thing is, each day, you and others have to kind of enter this contest to have part in the series, and that's done by entering with influence points. And now, I know, Shiaw-Ling, cameos are something quite particular, right? We have the cameo contest, but then, how do we actually get them in the scenes? It's okay. The fog is lifting. Don't worry, everybody at home. Shiaw-Ling, we're sorting it out. So there's always issues to listen through. So I think the fog's lifted now. I'm hearing the fog's not quite gone. We're gonna get that sorted. Also, Shiaw-Ling had a cat. The cat might have walked on the keyboard and muted her. That's also a common problem.
That happens. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm the person who just brings the live troubleshooting challenge to the hosted show.
No, it's a delight. But So
you were asking about cameos.
You got it. Yes.
So when you see the cameos appear in the show, those things are actually rendered day of the show. We don't know the results until the cameo contests close. And our cinematic artists actually take all of those specs, we put it into the show, and then we make sure to get it in. So it's a pretty tight timeline every day. It is one of the things that we really do enjoy working on. Having users be able to express, the community members express themselves and actually be able to put themselves into the story. For the adventures, those are generated during the actual adventure itself. So some of the hiccups you might see are related to that. I would say today we actually did pretty good. That's one of my favorite cameo appearances, actually, is seeing that guy, kind of see the character and then turn around and go, the oh shoot moment. Definitely one of my favorites. Now, today, the community actually helped Astrid. But I'm just saying, if the community ever chooses to not help Astrid, that scene is pretty fun too. And you still get your points at the end of the day. You just get to see a little bit of a different story. So the community has a chance to kind of fight itself, whether you want to help Astrid escape or if you want to help reduce her hope a little bit in terms of how she views the future and what her final fate might be.
Thank you for that insight as well here. By the way, for our audience at home, Adventures is an internal name we used for the endurance scenes before they went live. But honestly, they're kind of interchangeable. I actually really like both names. And remember, again, Silent Hill Ascension is an entertainment experience. So if you want to help the monster, feel absolutely free to do that in the future. Obviously, tonight it makes sense that you kind of helped our featured character. Now, all that said, Shiaw-Ling, I kind of presented you as director of production, but if you could do a little bit of explanation into kind of your role, title, all that stuff.
Yeah, I had a cat here to demonstrate earlier. Because I do joke to people that it is like herding cats a lot of times. What that actually means, though, at the end of the day, is producers look at what is needed to bring a project together, and we work with all of our different team members and departments to try to get everything to fit. You know, there's timelines, there's usually budgets, and we coordinate with our experts and people responsible for different pieces and try to make sure that, you know, when they bring things in, it gets the QA pass, it gets the look from the creative folks. There's a lot of charts involved for some reasons, Gantt charts, burn down charts, waterfall charts, budget, you know, workflow charts. I could nerd out about that for a while, but that would be very boring for all of our audience members, and that is not what they are here for today. And I'd say at the end of the day, if I was to succinctly summarize it, it's what is the team building? Who is going to be building it? That's what we track. And then how are we going to build it within the timelines and deadlines that we've been given so that we can get, you know, meet the criteria that that our leaders or our product owners want.
Thank you so much for explaining all of that and making sure. So hopefully you at home understand a little bit more about that. By the way, as you said, if we're going to talk about charts, I'm going to fall asleep. A Gantt chart is a great way for me to disappear. But you did mention team members, and I'm much more into people. So you discussed team members quite a bit. So what do you do with our development team?
Well, with interactive, a lot of it is taking, you know, left brain people and right brain people, our creatives and our artists and our programmers and engineers who are very logically oriented and saying, we're going to build a thing together. And that can be really hard. There are some people who are good at both, but usually people are more one than the other. And sometimes they disagree about how something can be done. And sometimes they don't know if something can be done and they don't know how to talk to each other about it. So we do a lot of what producers do is to help bridge those communications, understanding what they do, understanding why it's hard, understanding where can we help, or, you know, if we can't help directly, which oftentimes your producer can't, but the producer might know somebody who can, because our job is to go around and try to understand all the different parts of the team and how we can help each other.
No, that's wonderful. Because, I mean, for the audience at home, one of the important things, if I didn't know what was up and I needed help on Silent Hill Ascension during development, I would always ask Shiaw-Ling, actually. That was one of the big things. But can you give an example? Maybe. Oh, yeah, no, that's why I do it. But could you give us an example of this?
Yeah, actually, I was hoping you might let me do a demo here on the show with you. If you have a moment, I actually have some questions for you guys about the show. I'm sure we have team members watching. I'm sure we have community members watching today. And so I have some questions for you, Eduardo, about what is the pre-show and post-show, and tell a little bit about how do you guys put this together? Because I see so many team members working on it. There's a lot of effort to make it look good, to make it look like as effortless as it is when you guys present, but there's a whole lot of work there. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, of course. I mean, I'm always happy to talk about my work. So one of the big things is I kind of call it as like there's a lot of small parts that I kind of have to coordinate. So a lot of it is kind of tapestry weaving. We essentially know the broad strokes of what we want to talk about. We understand that you at home are probably interested in Silent Hill Ascension, the story. So we want to make sure that we do talk about the narrative, the choices you're making, and what goes on. But every day is different, and the audience choices do influence the story. So as time goes on, we have to kind of adapt. So the big thing on my side is I do a lot of the content. So what I do is, along with Noah, we kind of source the information together, get it from different pieces that we have internally to make sure that we're bringing to you information that's relevant to the day. And if there's a small story to tell. For example, the special boss character, we try to get the scoop, try to get that in so that you at home get to benefit from that. And on the other side, you never see him really, our tech coordinator, Felipe, but he makes sure that all this magic works. After all, Shiaw-Ling and me don't really live near each other, nor Felipe. We're very distantly far. We're talking thousands of kilometers or miles. And that's the thing is, we're bringing this together because we want to present to you a live show, because the content you're watching is also live. You're watching it every day at 6 p.m. So it makes sense for us that we're relevant to you at the time you're watching it.
Are you reacting live when you see that content out there that day of? I get to see a lot of it. I saw it when I was in production, when we were in concept art, but are you reacting live to that content? Is the team actually seeing it for the first time when it goes live?
So that depends, right? Certain pieces, so like I probably know the pieces that are coming up, but I personally, Eduardo, try not to spoil myself because I was able to be a little bit outside of the story. I wanted to make sure I kind of kept up to date as we go. Now, for specifically my co-hosts, Noah, who you saw earlier, or Layla, who you saw on Wednesday, they actually know a lot more because they were deeply involved in the development team, and they kind of know the story as it goes. So they were like involved in making sure that what you see in Silent Hill Ascension existed. So they're much more aware. I kind of try to play, the ingenue had. I try to discover things as I go. But as a result, I'm always surprised when I watch. I specifically did not want to. I knew the name was the Immolator, but I didn't want to specifically say it before the show because I didn't want to spoil it for you at home. But I didn't actually know what the scene would look like because I deliberately chose not to do it so I could watch while our poor audience member get burnt to a crisp.
Very unfortunate and yet also very cool moment at the same time. I have one last question for you. So you mentioned this on Monday. If you're going out to a cafe, is it coffee or tea?
So while I like a good cappuccino, to me, tea can't be beaten. Blame almost a decade living in the United Kingdom, I guess, for that one. But I love if I could go for a high tea, that's a treat. But I love going to a tea shop, discovering different things. In the morning, I love a good Earl Grey. In the afternoon, sometimes a matcha, something a little more creamy, or a green tea that I can take my time with.
Yeah.
And in the evening, I like a good oolong that I can reinfuse. Or if I'm with family or friends, a good herbal tea is good to kind of calm down things.
I think you mentioned this before, but I feel like oolong in the evening, that's a choice.
I mean, it's a special treat. It's not something I do it's probably something I'll do tonight specifically because tomorrow, I'll be relaxing. So specifically, I like it on evenings, which will go longer.
Very good.
Well, I mean, yeah, whoa, I gotta take control of this. Wait, wow, you're trying to interview me, but at the end of the day, we're interviewing you. But all that said, look, here's the thing. Let's do one final question at least, just to make sure we got this one down. So without kind of spoiling the story for us, like outside of spoilers, what can people at home in the audience look forward to soon?
When you were asking me that question, part of me was like, we should play this as like 2 truths and a lie, where you just bring developers on and they'll tell you 2 things that will happen and then 1 thing that won't happen, and then you have to guess which one it is. Maybe we can throw that at Martin next week. Our creative director, Martin Montgomery, is going to be coming on live for the interview next week. So that's one thing the community out there can look forward to if you got questions. We are working on the more endure scenes. So that is coming, I believe, next week. We already saw a shorter version of the content, so we tried to make it a little speedier. Trying to make sure that folks do get a chance to see those boss fights at the end of it. The team is still tweaking and making adjustments, so please bear with us. The feedback is heard, and we really appreciate anybody who wants to keep sending feedback into us. It is super helpful and very, very much, again, appreciated. We'll get more updates next Wednesday to you guys, but we are continuing to work on the smoothness and stability of people's experiences. There are a lot of different devices that, PC to mobile, that do connect to watch the show, and we're still working out and chasing down some of those hard to find bugs. Now, when I talk about bugs, I always think about the little critters in the Enduro streams. I don't know if people know this, but their little antennae are fingers. And so it's kind of just sticks out, and all their little legs are fingers too. It's so cute.
Oh yeah, very
It's so
cute.
cute.
Very
I mean,
cute,
if you got a plushie of any of, so many of them actually. If we were to talk about monsters, we would be here the rest of the night, and I would just gush about them. So moving on, the team is also very excited. They have a lot of ideas about what we can do to improve the experience people are having, to fix some of the kind of challenges that our audience has had. They're very eager to implement it. They're throwing ideas out there, and we're kind of going through them every day. And next few weeks, again, we are signed up here for several more months of content, and every single day on the development side, we are definitely going to be working on making improvements to all of that for you. So I think that's what people can expect. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, of course, and again, we had you on Monday. You helped introduce the email address feedback@genvid.com, which was a way for people to kind of reach out with feedback outside of the typical public forums where we kind of have to pick and choose as we go. And also, we do now development updates every Wednesday evening in the post show, just so that you at home have a regular chance to catch up with what we're doing that changes the experience. Now, before you head off, Shiaw-Ling, we got a decision that happens to open today. Our production team's going to throw that on screen. And this isn't a fake decision. And you'll kind of see why when I tell you what it is. It's what kind of doll will Astrid get Orson? Right? They were discussing that in the scene today, right? Is it the hunter doll, the grandma doll, and scientist doll? A lot of decisions are life and death. This one, a lot less, but still important, right? What's the relationship between mother and child? What would you go for here, Shiaw-Ling?
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but I will say, when we do give people, even if it's a minor decision and it seems small, we do build out that content. So a third of the things that people don't vote for, we still created, and you don't get to see it. So there are 3 versions of that doll. And depending on what happens in the story, it will be a different version of the doll that actually shows up. And I will tease out that stuff happens to that doll, and it may or may not be symbolic. Of course it is, it's Silent Hill.
Okay, so that actually makes this decision, it's kind of weird, right? It's not important, but it's also quite important now, right? In the sense of, well, it's really, what would you like to see at home? Which one do you want to see? Choose. It's like, what's your favorite?
In that sense, the audience here is helping us to create, what is the show going to look like? If you've ever thought, hey, I wish they would have done some different choices, I would actually challenge the audience. Sometimes the good choice is not the most dramatic one. If you think about the shows you really love, sometimes it's the characters making the bad choices that makes for the most interesting drama. And on behind the scenes, we get to see all of the possible versions of what could have happened here, right? And I have to say, sometimes I know it's the bad choice for the character, but it is also the fun one.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a balance, right? So one of the things for me that's important is character development, right? It's like characters having a cohesion over time. But the audience at home is discovering the characters, and I mean, I wasn't live during that decision with like Toby attacking the Foundation, or the redemption and damnation options, where the damnation eventually won. But that was definitely a very close moment.
Yeah, I mean, Toby is a dear child. I think he is what in internet terms you call a garbage child, but we all can't help loving him anyway. He tries so hard, he gets it so wrong.
And on that note, now that we know that Shiaw-Ling indeed likes Toby, we're going to end it here. We're nearing the end of our show. So for those of you who have joined us here, we're in the pre-show, we kind of covered the first 2 weeks of the story, Pennsylvania and Norway. In Pennsylvania, there were kind of those big movements going on, right? Especially that moment where Toby enters the Foundation, the ritual, the monster there. In Norway, it's really starting to be about that relationship between Astrid and Orson. We're starting to see that come more to light. But I hope you were with us from the start. Thank you so much, Shiaw-Ling, for being with us. If you want to do more Silent Hill Ascension, the puzzles are available. Remember that the mindfulness puzzles, which are available in the Arcane Library, if you go in there, click on the top of the screen to switch, they're free to do, and you get to raise characters' hopes if that's something you'd like to do. But you always get to relax and have a great time there. So when do you want to see us next time? We're going to put that up on screen. So we do the pre-show essentially 5:40 p.m. Pacific or 8:40 p.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The show is every day, rain, sunshine, or fog, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then we have our post show that happens right after, again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So again, Shiaw-Ling, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks again for having me.
It was a great delight. And I will be now signing off on behalf of our whole team. I was Eduardo. This was Shiaw-Ling. We also had Noah earlier, who's also saying bye. I'll do it on her behalf. That said, I hope you had a great time tonight, and we'll see you next time.